Brett Favre's heroics aside, the Packers in last place in the Central, 1-3, 3 straight losses, worst record since 1993. Welcome to another edition of the Packers Blitz. Tom Pippens along with John Pearson and Tim Van Vooren. And I don't know what you can say except the defense was awful, the offense was awful, the injuries are coming to the fore, and I believe Mike Sherman's inability to make good picks has finally caught up with him. There is unrest. You referred to that, guys, in Titletown. We'll get to that, but first we have to get to Brett Favre. An incredible situation with him. Suffered a concussion tee, hit by a pair of G-men, went out for 2 plays. Doug Peterson came in, and you know what happened on 4th down. But take us through this play first, as you saw it.
William Joseph, the main pressure man there on Favre. They drive him down. And when he first went down, I thought, well, there's the left shoulder that he told everybody he was bothered by. Getting hurt, but it was a solid knock on the ground. It turns out to be basically a concussion. Favre goes to the sideline. They check him out. Peterson's in there. They run it once. They throw it once. They're fine. Favre's back on the sideline talking to Mike Sherman. Sherman waves him in, and he goes. Out comes Peterson, and you know what happens next. Yeah,
Iron Mike said, "Are you ready to go?" And Favre said, "Yeah, I'll go." Well, then get in there. Mike said, "I should have waited for doctor's clearance." There was all kinds of turmoil, I'm hearing, John, on the sidelines. But then there was this amazing play. He didn't know what he was doing at that point.
In for the rescue right there. There are very few things that make me giggle. Brett Favre has a couple of plays that are just so remarkable that only he can make them make me giggle. It's like The Daily Show, Pip in a tank top, and Brett Favre.
Well, that would be
very bad. That make me giggle, but it was just that it just added to the legend that he runs down the field, he makes that little celebration, and you get, oh, everything's fine now. So that was the amazing thing. You can, who else?
A TD pass in 29 straight games. That's 3rd all time, but that's all the offense. I knew they could not win that game, and I know it's easy to sit here and say, how can you win it without Favre? They haven't gone out and gotten a good backup. But Tim, Andy Conkle of our Fox 6 photojournalistic staff capturing this interesting situation here as Ford comes in.
Well, this is the thing. A lot of people are wondering, why did he come back in? You can see him there. He's consulting with Sherman, and then he goes in. Sherman does definitely wave Favre in. I don't know if you saw it there, but no question, watching from the press box, Sherman was gesturing him in, and the play clock was running down there, and Favre gets in there. If you remember, he jumped up on under center real quickly, and then they called the lines and popped it over to Walker. Great play, and hard to believe that would be the only touchdown in a game like this. The Packers are supposed to have this great offense. That's the touchdown they score, and the only one all day.
Walker caught it after catching 3 at Indy in the RCA Dome last week. JP, a gray day for Gray Rugemer. Never mind all the sunshine. It's obvious the value of Pro Bowler Mike Flanigan, and we know he's our guy here on the Blitz, cannot be underestimated.
And again, we've heard this a couple times. I think Mike Sherman said it a couple times. Oh, Gray's just not the same type of player as Mike Flanigan. He's not as good as Mike Flanigan is what that means usually when people say, yeah, he struggled blocking and he had the one unnecessary roughness play right there where he seemed to lose his composure. That's kind of what he's known for, being a guy that mixes it up. But that was one of those situations where you are in a tight game. You can't make that kind of mistake. I don't think that has anything to do with being rusty. That's just a guy losing control, and the rest of the line trying to figure out just how good he's going to be. With Mike Flanigan, you know what you have for those other 4 guys.
Underestimate, overestimate his importance, whatever. Mike Flanigan is that good, and he will be sorely missed. The running game was impacted. Ahman Green is a magnificent player. He showed it again today, but Tim, we're going to have to live with it. 30 is a fumble, flat out. Left hand, right hand, you name it. Emmitt Smith carried it left hand. He was not known as a fumble.
And this is on the right sideline, so the ball is exposed out there, and obviously a big play at the time. The Packers have had very, very costly turnovers this year. Sometimes you can survive your turnovers. This year, the turnovers have been costly. Clearly one there. They never got anything going offensively, and Green really had subpar stats.
They were totally dominated in terms of time of possession by over 12 minutes for the game. Never got into the enemy territory until the second half. Doug Peterson, he struggled. Just doesn't have the arms.
Yeah, I think if they're in the lead and Doug Peterson comes in for Brett Favre, you can hand the ball off, you can generate the run-and offense, but if you've got to win a game, you don't have a backup quarterback. There aren't that many teams that have a backup quarterback and come in and win a game for you. That's one thing, but you know if you're behind and Doug Peterson is in the game, you're probably not going to take control of that game offense.
But this is where the failure of Tim Couch, and then you got a 3rd rounder sitting there and B.J. Sander, they need that roster spot. Bottom line is the team's 1-3. Where exactly are they at from a guy who's in the know who talked to another guy who's in the know? Tim Van Vooren with number 58, Mike Flanigan.
It's real quiet in there. It's a somber place. We put in a lot of work, too much work to be in this position, and nobody's happy about it for sure. anytime you come in a loss like this, and what we've done now 3 in a row, it's the first time we've done this here under Sherman, which you told me. It's kind of shock. We're not one of these teams that's been struggling to make the playoffs or just happy to make the playoffs. We've been shooting for the Super Bowl every year, and to be 1-3, I mean, I'm not saying we can't go or won't go, but it makes it a lot tougher. So we just got to right this ship.
I don't think it's going to happen. I seriously question the playoffs now. I felt this was a must-win. Never mind Tennessee. They can still right the ship, but the ship is stinking. They were not going to score many points with Favre out of there in the third quarter. Your grade, Tim, offensive.
I think we're overinflating Favre's effort overall on the day. Incredible to come back and make that play, but the first pass of the game was dropped interception. I don't think Brett Favre was on today. He was on last week. He's at the point in his career where you can't expect it week in, week in, week in. And he was not on today. Ahman Green was not on. I'm going with an F. There's no way around it. The New York Giants are in here. The Bears played a perfect game a couple of weeks ago. The Giants are in here, dropping an interception, missing 3 field goals, and still winning. Ridiculous. Giving
them all kinds of opportunity to win a game at home, and they can't get it done. The defense is even worse than F, if there is one. It's a Z. But, I mean, the numbers they're giving up, 400 yards through the air at Indy, John, and now on the ground making Tiki Barber look like a Hall of Famer. He's a nice player, but what is wrong here with Nick Barnett? He can't seem to make a play.
Yeah, I think at that point they shouldn't have been in a desperate situation. If you're looking to somehow make a turnover, a great huge play to turn a game around, that's one thing. But you're coming right off of this play that dropped from the heavens to you for a game-winning. It should be the things, the springboard for a win. And for some reason, Nick Barnett, he thought the play was going outside, the cutback. I don't understand how you're not ready for a cutback. Tiki Barber's not a guy that's going to beat you to the outside anyway. He's cutting back is his game.
Barnett's a good guy. He's a good football player. He's experiencing, I think, a sophomore slump. Let's take a closer look. I mean, we're not trying to call him out here, but we have to because Nick totally overran this. The backers, although Diggs, I think Tim said, had 15 tackles, just don't seem to be doing the job here. All right, watch Barber right here. Again, a good player. He's got a lot of moves. He has good vision. Here's Barnett. Now, he seems to have a beat on him right in here, but then all of a sudden, he's going to go one way, and Tiki Barber is going to go there. He totally faked him out of his athletic supporter. I mean, there's no other way to say that's terrible. And that was key because it brought him back into a tie. And the next thing you know, because Hawthorne can't play defense, well, we'll see that. I mean, I'm sorry. We've been going over this for hours, and I'm more frustrated than ever. All right, well, let's go right to it then. Let's talk about Michael Hawthorne, who I said again, he's out there tailgating in the parking lot, John. He won't get near anybody. Bob Slowick had the right defense. Shockey was in the slot. Why isn't Hawthorne up on him?
He said that he was looking for the slant. When I talked to him after the game, and he was looking for that. Well, he had help with the slant. He didn't have help to the outside. And, yeah, he's a guy that, again, can't be your main cover guy. We've said it 100 times, and right now, he's a cover guy because they have the issues with injuries that are going on. Is the camera on me? I might have to wink at that. I don't know. But there may be a problem in terms of other things that are forcing Michael Hawthorne to be the guy that's exposed.
And is Mike McKenzie's injury for real? Would he be playing if he's not hoping to be traded, you know, getting tweaked here with a hammy? He probably makes that play. Let's again go to the telestrator. Talk about the Packers defense. They did not blitz as often. They made a lot of good plays, but again, gashed by the run. And they just seem, the Giants, to have the perfect play called for the defense. They seem to be a step ahead, right on in here. Guys are playing way back, so you've got a little pass that's coming up this way, and a nice gain. Guys are getting blocked, and that's what happens. Now, this time we'll see the similar setup, a great throw. Now, here, guys are moving up, but this time they're getting blocked out. Look at Tiki Barber. Sharper's not going to make a play. By the time that you need somebody to make a tackle, it's beyond a first down. I know that Tiki Barber had a couple of key runs on third down late when the Packers could have gotten the ball sooner. It just isn't happening. And Tiki Barber, we said it before, Tim, tisk, tisk, tisk. I thought it was kind of bushly. First of all, the play that James Whitley made, to me, was not a penalty, and then Barber's reaction first as if it was a face mask. That was the worst. It
was a big play at the time, whether you agree with it or not, because this would have stopped the Giants short of a first down. They end up getting the first down on a penalty that's called the high tackle on Whitley here.
Never got his helmet underneath, though.
Right, actually came up over the backside, right, and, you know, James Whitley, Tiki Barber, you tell me who the official is going to give a call to there, but there's the gesture you're referring to. Now, as it turned out, the Packers didn't give up any points there because Darren Sharper made the interception a moment later. Yeah, and Sharper finally making a play, and you could see he was exulting, you know, and at the time, it was big because it kept the game tied, John. The Packers totally dominated and scoreless as they go to halftime.
Yeah, that was the thing. The Giants, they looked like they were just a step away all the time from making a big play, and Darren Sharper finally makes one there, but they were just, I don't know, last week was so bad. I think they finally finished airing out the Indianapolis Dome down there because the Packers stunk so bad that I may have dropped my standards for grading this one out. But, yeah, I give them a C. It should be lower, but last week was so bad, and it just seemed like they were trying to make a play, and they didn't have an idea how to do it in the second half. And that was the disturbing part, because guys were trying to make a turnover happen, and is there anybody that can do that?
Well, Grady Jackson's got to come back soon, because he changes the entire dynamic of this defense. It's unfortunate they're so dependent on one very mammoth man.
It was a team deal today, though, because that defense was on the field for 20 minutes in the first half. The offense couldn't sustain anything. That defense is tired, not able to make an impact play in the second half. Everything falls together in a football game.
Steve Christie made impact foot-to-foot ball, but he did his best to say, here, guys, we're going to be very, very gracious guests. 3 field goal misses, right?
That's what I was getting to earlier. You can't. How can you go on the road and miss 3 field goals, 2 of them inside 40 yards, and come away with a victory? Unbelievable. And obviously it kept the Packers around, at least thinking they'd have a chance in this game till the end.
The Packers did some good things on special teams, but they also lost field position. A bad penalty. They could have had good position when the Giants had to punt late, and then later on a squib kick after the touchdown in the third quarter. That wasn't good, so I'm going with a very average C grade. We are going to take a timeout, and then we'll have more on the Blitz. MVP still to come. A look ahead. Tennessee comes into town. 1-3 themselves. That's a week from Monday night. Please keep it here on your Packers station for the most comprehensive post-game report in town.
Major cleaning, damage control. The furnace repair people left grease all over my carpet. Should have called the ring team. Who?
Like I said, I don't think it's a distraction.
So you don't know why he wasn't on the sideline today?
I didn't even know. See, look, you told me something I didn't even know. I'm not, unfortunately, I was not paying attention. Where's Mike McKenzie? I mean, we have a game out there, and most guys will probably like that, you know, so we're not looking to see if he's on the sideline now. We're focused on the game.
One thing about KGB, he does speak from the heart. But, Tim, at this point in time, if I'm a Packers player, and it's just me talking, I'm getting a little bit irritated watching this guy practice. I want to see 34
when has he practiced?
back on the field. Yeah, well, at least he's out there. He's around now. Yeah, he was. I mean, is this thing for real or not?
It's not a distraction. Do you believe one guy in there who says it's not a distraction? I understand that's the company line. It's a monstrous distraction. He is a friend. They view him on that level. He is pulling a ridiculous series of shenanigans. They view him on that level. His teammates are absolutely torn. Mike Sherman is in a position of setting a precedent, which would be very dangerous for the franchise, but cannot wait to get rid of this guy. If you carry him past the trading deadline, who knows what he's going to do inside this locker room. The Packers have to move him sooner rather than later. But this, if you don't think one move can really spoil and poison a well for a whole season, you're looking at a situation that started right after those playoffs and just will not go away.
And when a team is losing, you hear all kinds of things. I'm hearing from insiders that there was yelling and screaming at Sherman. Why did you let Favre in the game for that one play? He could have been very seriously hurt. But again, when you lose, lots of distractions, lots of talk. Bottom line is they're not getting it done on the field. MVP, for me, I wanted Favre in there as much as you or anybody else. But give it to the medical staff, Pepper Burris, the trainer, Dr. McKenzie. They were not going to allow Brett Favre back on the field. And Brett, you know, number 4 was pleading his case, guys. But I have to say that was the wise move, and I can't think of a better MVP in this particular situation. Tim, back to you.
I will go on the other side of the ball, and it's not like a couple years ago you used to have all these candidates who could be the MVP. Now it's, well, who could be the MVP? But I'm going with Niall Diggs on 15 tackles. The defense wasn't great, but to me, you hold a team to 14 points, you ought to win more football games. Yep. And Niall Diggs was the leader on the defense, so I'll give him the MVP award.
And to you, JP.
Besides Tim Van Vooren, the only person who had perfection going for him on that field today. Where Knoll fired up. Craig Knoll came in a desperate situation and completed a pass down the middle. A 118 at quarterback rating. He probably wishes that rating was lower, because if he could have gotten to the line and spiked it right there, it would have actually knocked his percentage down a little bit, and they could have maybe thrown one more pass. But Craig Knoll, he didn't mess up.
All right. Another timeout, and then back with more on the Blitz. I wish they'd have gone to the sidelines. I don't know if that's on Knoll. Did they even call the play? Couldn't get it from reading Sherman. See you in just a few. Thanks for staying up late with us.
talk about weekend.
He can play for any team in the league.
Absolutely right. They were jumping routes. That is, yeah. They were jumping routes down there. Samari Roll, if you remember, jumps on that one, and they had Brett Favre a little bit in that game. Titans are a team with a swarming defense, and Billy Volek threw 58 times, I think, today. So that defense is going to have to do its part. Yeah.
Chris Brown and improving back in his tracks. The Bears 4-0 for the first time, JP, since 1994. Maybe they'll have their breakdown again in the NFC Championship. Make it the Eagles. I'm sorry. Played the Bears in Chicago. Chicago native Donovan McNabb coming back, hitting T.O. Terrell Owens, 6 touchdown catches. Yes, he's got to do the 6 sit-ups.
Well, you're upset because you can't do 6 sit-ups, Ben.
Well, that's true, but you don't have to let the people know. It's more than they need to know. Yeah. Falcons and Panthers. I thought Carolina was going to win this one at home. Vic and the guys, 4-0 start. That hadn't happened in a while. What about first-year coach Jim Mora and first-year D coordinator Ed Donatel? His unit was first in the league.
And there they go with an interception return for a touchdown. The takeaways have been big for Atlanta so far this year. And Ed Donatel's not an I told you so kind of guy, but you have to believe he's smiling a little bit right now.
How about Emmitt Smith? We were talking about him before, carrying the ball on the left side. Little, you know, a little trickery today. I think that's why executive producer Brian Graham put that in there as they beat the Saints.
Is it okay to root for Emmitt Smith now that he's not a Cowboy?
104 years old.
Yeah, he threw a touchdown pass. Yeah, I mean, he never had done that before. There are very few things he hadn't done in his career. So that's something kind of special. He's at a point where you can kind of say, yay, Emmitt Smith, way to go.
All right, we're going to have the extra points. We'll try to make our points right after these messages from Fox, your Packers station.